The last review for Chapter 5, we're going to be looking at measures of center. If you recall, the median is exactly that, the median of the highway or the middle value. The mean is the arithmetic average, and the mode really is good for qualitative data, so we won't be worrying about it in this situation. Nor am I worried about you calculating these values. I think a calculator can do that just fine. But when you do the mean, you're going to add these up. What is this 1 going to do to my mean? It's going to pull it downward or to the left. So we would call this data skewed left as its distribution because of that 1. The median, I couldn't find it unless I ordered my data. So I'd have to put the smallest and then order it and pick the middle. Remember, if there's 2, then you would average. But again, I'm not so much worried about that. I'm worried about, do you understand the interpretation? If I take a value in this set and I increase it, for example, if I just take 1 and make it larger, my mean is going to increase, but my standard deviation, let's see, if I think of my arms as being spread, maybe my arms are this far spread. If I change 1 and make it go closer to the center, my spread is going to decrease. Even though my value increased, the amount of spread is going to decrease. It became closer to my mean. My median will not change. Find measures of variation. That would be range and standard deviation. I'm not so much worried about finding it. It, again, is the interpretation. So if you have a large standard deviation, let's just say that it's large, that's going to mean it's more spread out. So if you're going to go purchase maybe a lawnmower and it had equal brand, equal price, and one standard deviation was larger than the other, you'd probably want to pick the small standard deviation, meaning that it is more consistent. It's more grouped. There's less spread in the data set or the evidence that I got from the observing of the length of the lawnmower, how long it would last its lifetime. So again, large means it's very spread out. Identify the symbols. So again, you need to understand X bar, S versus mu and sigma, lowercase n versus capital N. Again, n is sample size of population versus the sample, how many are in there. Sigma is standard deviation. This is sigma, standard deviation of the population versus standard deviation of the sample. Identify any changes in variation that we talked about here. You've got to just think about setting your arms. How far apart are they? And if I change 1, what's going to happen to my spread? It's going to decrease. In this situation, if I took this value and dropped it, even though it went down in value, my standard deviation increased in value. And so those are the things you'll have to be worried about in Chapter 5. It's not so much calculating the values, it's interpreting what they mean. What is a mean? It's a balance point. It's a center by the balance point where it's going to balance on the teeter-totter. A median is a center because it's the middle number. And the mode, that's for qualitative data. Standard deviation is really going to be the key coming up in the next few chapters. So this is a review for your midterm that will be due this weekend.